The Kings of Basketball, the champions, 17 NBA titles. The Boston Celtics are what the Montreal Canadiens, New York Yankees, and the New England Patriots are to their fellow leagues. The most championships. Boston actually started out as an original 1920s and 30s barnstorming team that won lots of titles in different leagues. But they didn't win their first major title in the NBA until 1957 when they took care of the St. Louis Hawks. In 1958, they lost to the Hawks. But after 1958, the Celtics didn't lose another playoff series for 9 years. It's like amazing. But of course, this is where it gets interesting. The Celtics only played 2 playoff series a year, as it seemed. So they would have won like 17, 18 playoff series. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty good, though, too. Because to do that in the modern day, you would have to win 4 straight titles and a few playoff series after that. So anyway, the Boston Celtics went on a massive roll in the 1950s and 60s. As I said, from 1959 to 1966, the Celtics did not lose an NBA championship. They won all 8 of them. Amazing. 8 straight titles. There were a few teams that were terrible and a few good teams, like the Los Angeles Lakers of 1962, that the Celtics barely beat. 1962 was the closest they lost to the Dynasty, was because in the final seconds, Frank Selvey, he had the 100-point game in college in 1954 for Furman, had a jump shot and he clanked it off the rim, and Celtics ran out the clock. Overtime beckoned and the Celtics won. But the Celtics had a lot of great players and all that. The Celtics were also known for draft steals, like getting naive teams to buy into things. In 1950, they managed to get Bob Cousy from the St. Louis Hawks, mostly by basically picking him up for Ice Capades shows, because for promises for that stadium to have Ice Capades and all that. Boston was also known for fleecing Golden State in 1980. More on that later. But anyway, the Celtics in 68 and 69 won. So they won 10 titles in 11 years, which was fucking amazing. Or 11 and 13, if you will. But man, the Celtics did win championships in the 70s, 74 and 76, including that famous triple overtime game against the Suns. The Celtics in 1980 seemed confident too, but the Lakers were a much better franchise than the 1960s. They beat the Celtics in the finals, whereas the Celtics could not lose to the Lakers. So anyway, the Boston Celtics and LA Lakers had a rivalry in the 1980s that stood the test of time. Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Michael Cooper, Kurt Rambis, those guys. It was a rivalry to behold, and NBA rating smashes in the 80s. But Boston's luck ran out in the 1986 NBA draft. With a bevy of trades, the Celtics got the number 2 selection, and they took Len Bias, a promising small forward from Maryland who was lighting up the ACC, kind of like what MJ did. Unfortunately, Len Bias would not slip on the Celtics uniform, as he had overdosed on cocaine just 24 hours after being drafted by the Celtics. It was a death that really shook the collegiate world, shook Maryland athletics up, and shook social convention, because police officers were basically cracking down on cocaine stuff, and unfortunately pissing off the African American race by basically showing no mercy towards black people who had cocaine with them, basically saying that blacks are the ones with cocaine and white people are clean, which in fact is fucking false. Still today, I mean, when you look at the 30 for 30 on Len Bias, it tells you about the bias for black people and the drug. So anyway, the Celtics fell flat, and Larry Bird was aging too. Everyone was aging on the Celtics. The Celtics in 1993 shockingly lost to the Charlotte Hornets in the first round of the playoffs. that would be secondary to the heartbreak of losing their captain, Reggie Lewis, who died shooting hoops around Brandeis University at age 27. The Northeastern grad was very good for the Celtics. He was basically taking over the reins from Bird of the Celtics. He died of cardiac myopathy. He had a hereditary disease. People thought it was cocaine based, but nope, it wasn't. It was later found out that it was hereditary. So basically, he died from his own. He just was a workhorse, but his heart just couldn't take it sometimes. The Celtics fell into a deep depression in the mid 90s, and basically they pissed off a lot of alumni. The Celtics didn't really come back into prominence till the early 2000s when they drafted some very good players, Paul Pierce from Kansas and Antoine Walker from Kentucky. So anyway, the Celtics got better. Heck, they even had Kevin Garnett from Minnesota for a bevy of players. I think Gerald Green is the only one I know that went from Boston to Minnesota. But anyway, that Celtic pride was huge, as the Boston Celtics did, in fact, win the 2008 championship against the Lakers. And Kevin Garnett's famous line, anything's possible. Anything's possible! Oh my God! Celtics were much better. Celtics didn't win a title after 2008. They kept trying. They got Kyrie Irving. They got rid of Isaiah Thomas. Not the Isaiah Thomas you may think from the Pistons, but that he was a workhorse. This Isaiah Thomas from the University of Washington, who I believe I don't know, 2008 I would say, or like 2010, he hit a buzzer beater to give Washington the Pac-10 regular season title. So anyway, yeah, that guy. He's never the same after leaving for Cleveland. And Boston got Kyrie Irving. So anyway, the Celtics have won 17 NBA titles in their lifetime. It could have been 18 if it wasn't for the 1967 playoffs against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Celtics were riding high. Yeah, they had some aging players and all that. And they looked terrible. But the Celtics were on top of the world, winning 8 straight titles. They faced Philly in the conference finals and shockingly lost. After so many close escapes, including Havlicek stealing the ball to ice the 1965 Eastern final, the Celtics just ran out of route, and shockingly, they were in the finals. Their finals opponents would have been the San Francisco Warriors. Basically, the team that left Philadelphia high and dry until Syracuse moved their team to Philadelphia. So the San Francisco Warriors ended up losing to Philadelphia as Philly got revenge, in a sense, for the team moving to San Francisco. So anyway, the San Francisco Warriors will take on the Boston Celtics in this championship. Could the Celtics have technically won 11 consecutive titles? Because remember, 60 and 69 they won. So let's see what happens in this one. San Francisco, 44 and 37, taking on the 60 and 21 Celtics. It's probably a big mismatch. The Warriors having Paul Newman, Jim King, Rick Barry, Fred Hetzel, and Nate Furman versus Boston's Jones guys, Casey and Sam, no relation. John Havlicek, Bailey Howell, and Bill Russell. Paul Newman. By the way, ironically, Bill Russell played at the University of San Francisco. He was facing the San Francisco Warriors. Rick Barry played for, I think it was Miami of Florida. Nate Furman was from Bowling Green. Casey Jones, can't remember. Sam Jones, I can't remember. Havlicek, Ohio State. Bailey Howell, I don't even know who he is. In game one of this matchup, it was the Celtics winning nearly 122-118. Rick Barry put up 40 points for the Warriors in 42 minutes. Nate Furman put up 20. That was good. Newman, Hetzel, King, Jeff Mullins, Tom Meschery, Al Attles, the guy who led Golden State as the coach of the 75 title, Clyde Lee, and Joe Ellis. The Celtics had Bill Russell, Bailey Howell, 29 points for Bailey Howell. I need to know about this Bailey Howell guy. So this Bailey Howell guy played 4 years for the Celtics. Wow. He scored a lot of points as a Celtic. He had 1,000 points every year except for his finale in 1971. How come I don't know much about Bailey Howell? 129 from him. Sam Jones, 24. Russell, 21. Havlicek, 18. Their bench had Zach Sanders, Larry Siegfried, Wayne Embry, Don Nelson. Yes, coach Don Nelson, and the same guy in 1969 who set up the Lakers with the jumper, Jim Barnett and Toby Kimball. So yeah, the Celtics took game 1. Game 2 saw the Celtics do much better, despite giving up 44 points in the fourth quarter, because the Warriors basically hit their bench. Bud Olsen and Bob Warlick adding on to their first lead, 12 points in 4 minutes. He had 6 free throws. Wow, that's amazing. 30 for Rick Barry, 19 from Furman, 17 from Jeff Mullins, and he wasn't even the starter. The Celtics didn't really use their bench as much. 26 from Havlicek, 22 from Sam and Bailey. Casey Jones only had 5 points. Kind of low. Russell, 19 rebounds. That's pretty good. On to San Francisco for game 3. Celtics up 2-0. And they won again. 125-116. So a great job by the team. 24 from Havlicek, 20 from Howe. Bill Russell only had 11 points, but he had 26 rebounds. That's amazing. Sam Jones, 19. Zach Sanders, 18 off the bench in 15 minutes. Jim Barnett. The 67 Warriors, 32 from Rick Barry, 16 from Furman, 14 from King. All that. Yeah. So I guess the Celtics are going to sweep. Not yet, they don't. 145-124. Yikes. 46 points in the third quarter from the Celtics. 39. San Fran had a 23-point lead after 1 quarter. 27 from John Havlicek. 20 from Bailey. 20 from Bill Russell. 36 Reed had 10. But the Warriors, look at that. 6 players in double digits. And 2 off the bench. Jeff Mullins and Tom Meshery with a lot of points. 19 off the bench from Meshery. So it's on to game 5 in Boston, where Celtic will probably win it. No, none. 134-119. What the fuck? 47 from Rick Barry, 16 from Jim King. Paul Newman, 18 points. Great job by Rick Barry coming out of fucking nowhere. That's the 3-pointers counted in this thing. So anyway, 25 from Havlicek, 20 from Russell, and 16 from Howe. Yeah, amazing. Oh my gosh, we're going to game 6. Are you fucking kidding me? The Celtics had a 3-0 lead, and now it's game 7. Wow, 121-115. 21 from Sam Jones, 20 from Bailey, 19 from Zach Sanders. Casey Jones had no points. He only attempted 3 shots. You gotta take the shots, Casey. You gotta take the fucking shots. The Warriors, 38 from Rick Barry, 21 from Nate Furman, 18 from Jimmy King, 11 from Mullins. So now we got ourselves a game 7. I can't look. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Oh, normalcy wins today, and Boston's only the 3rd team to get their happy ever after in the what if out of 13. That's amazing. 129-106. 34 from Rick Barry. He was fantastic. But the rest of the players croaked. Well, especially if Havlicek put up 30 points in 32 minutes. Bill Russell, 20 points, 28 rebounds, 10 assists. He even had a double-double, triple-double. Sam Jones, 17 points. Bailey Howell only had 13. Casey Jones only played 16 minutes. That's unusual. But Wayne Embry, 10 points. I know him as an exec with the Raptors. Wow. I just can't believe it. I thought for sure Boston was going to be the laughingstock if they blew it. But they didn't. Yeah, they didn't blow it, Boston. They just didn't blow it.